Hey everybody, this is Laura with Unveiled Podcast. I'm also known as Anam Cara Lara. I am coming to you today from my back deck overlooking Table Rock Lake. So there may be a lot of background noise. There's some birds cawing away, and there's some people at the bottom of the hill building a house. So you may be hearing some stuff, and you may be wondering, why on earth am I recording a podcast outside? And that's a really good question. To kind of answer that, I'm going to give you a little update as to what's going on with the podcast. And because it's been about a month and a half since I recorded one, my last podcast was about peace, and I promised a part 2, but I have to ask your forgiveness. I am not going to be able to do part 2, at least in the foreseeable future. It will come. It just will be a while. And the reason is my magazine is growing rather quickly, and my time and resources and mental capacity have become extremely strained. And I was going to just quit the podcast altogether. However, it's a good outlet for me. And also, I think it is worth keeping around. That being said, I don't know how consistent I will be. I am hoping that as we go, it will become much more consistent as I find the right flow. Obviously, my podcast from now on is going to be very much off the cuff. I'll probably just be sharing what I am learning and what's being unveiled to me, and just passing that on versus a very something that I have typed out and planned and something like that. So I hope you will understand and appreciate kind of the spur of the momentness of the Unveiled podcast. I'm probably going to have to kind of redo some of that branding because it looks very professional and put together. And that was what I had in mind when I started it, but that is not going to happen. And life is just that way. You got to flow with it. And sometimes it's just a little messy. And so I appreciate if you're still around. Thanks for being here. This one will be a little bit shorter. Today I'm going to talk about something that I'm going to be talking about something out of Genesis really quick. And it's going to be, it came about because I am I am updating my very first issue of the magazine that I ever did. And it was called For the Beauty of the Earth. And I've recently had a lot of orders. And my subscribers have jumped up considerably, and I'm getting requests for that first one. I make all my issues available, and I've been so small that nobody's really asked for it. So now that they're asking for it, I'm like, you know what? It's time to get this updated. And the fact is that issue number 1 has never officially been printed. That was my very first issue. I was a digital magazine at the time. And while I had some printed for like my personal reasons or people who had contributed or some friends and family, I never officially printed that edition because it was originally digital. So right now I'm going through and I'm updating it. And it also wasn't as long as my other ones. And I thought, I want to add a little bit to it. And so I started writing an article last night, and I titled it, He Saw That It Was Good, because I was reading Genesis 1 last night, or the other day whenever I was writing my article, and just kind of trying to get my mind back in that mindset again of creation and the earth. And while my magazine is not a Christian magazine, I am a believer who writes the magazine, and so I write everything from the point of God's Word. But I try to write it in a way that those who are not believers, they still, really enjoy it and glean from it. And then I have opportunities in that digital version. If people want to click on links, they can go deeper spiritually if they want. And so it's kind of for both. But I went for a walk, and I love walking where I'm at. And I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping right now, but I live rural and I live in a forest. And so when I go for a walk, I am surrounded by trees and vines and wildflowers that are growing up. I'm so thankful. And it's what really inspired my very first issue, because my eyes had just moved here. My eyes had really been opened to how beautiful the earth is. And I hadn't really taken time to appreciate it and learn from it. And So the other day when I was walking and I was looking at everything, it hit me. All of a sudden the words just dumped into my brain. He saw that it was good. And it was like an aha moment. I was like, oh, he didn't just create something and it was beautiful and we're to appreciate it. God took time after it. So I went back and read again in Genesis 1, so you can go back and read it yourself. But after each step, he paused, he looked at what he created, and he saw that it was good. And I don't know if you understand what I just said, but it hit me like, whoa, I get it. And I started looking, not only at the trees, but I was looking at each leaf on a tree, and I was looking at the bark, and I was looking at the little wildflowers that are coming out of the ground, and they were so pretty, just these tiny little white flowers. They're considered weeds, but they're beautiful. And so I started looking at them going, wow, that's good. That's really good. And everything I was looking at, I was like trying to shift it from just an appreciation to understanding that it was good, and then speaking that. And then, I was meditating on it some more, and I was like, well, hang on. I'm part of God's creation, and not only am I a creation, but I'm created in his image. And what the verse says, where is it? I forgot to wear my glasses. So here it is, 120, no, what is that, a 2 or a 3? 25, Genesis 1:25. God made each kind of wild beast, each kind of livestock, and every kind of animal that crawls along the ground, and God saw that it was good. And then, I'm going ahead of myself before. Oh, here we go. No, all the way to verse 31. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And I don't know about you, but as someone who is a creator, I'm in that stage where I don't have a team yet, though, I'm really excited to announce something soon. I'll be getting my first team member, but it'll be very, very, very part-time, like only 2 hours a week. But it's a step forward. But I'm so busy that once I finish something, I'm already jumping into the next thing, and I never stop to look at it and just speak over it and say, you know what, that is good. And one of the other reasons I don't do it is I'm a perfectionist. And I want to be a person of excellence, but I don't want to be a perfectionist, because what happens is I am uber critical. I find a mistake in everything, and especially my own work. And so when I finish something, instead of pausing and seeing that I did a really good job, I did the best I could, I go back and I find all the mistakes, because there always are. And usually then I start beating myself up. Oh, they're going to see the mistakes. Oh my gosh, this isn't going to be as good as I thought, blah, blah, blah. And this has really challenged me to stop that. To go back, like I just finished, at the time I'm recording this, I just finished issue number 9, Imagination, about a month ago. And I have not, even though I've gone back and reread and to look for all the mistakes. But I haven't stopped and looked at it and said, wow, this was really good. Even it may not be the best one I've done so far, but it was still good. And I think we need to give ourselves a lot of grace. We think if it's not perfect, it can't be good. And then we also think about the verse, don't applaud yourself, let somebody else praise you. But I think there's a difference when we can see what we have done. We can stop and we can look at what we've created and just say, that's really good, and be grateful for the gifts and the talents God gave us to be able to create something. I think versus, the other verse about broadcasting ourselves to other people and letting other people praise us. So I'm taking that point right now where I'm stepping back and saying I need to learn to look at what I've made, to pause, to really look at it, and to declare that it's good. Even if it's not perfect, even if it could have been better, the next one will be better. I need to just look and say, you did a good job. This is good. And then also to look at creation And not just, oh, that's pretty, but to look at it and go, wow, that's really good. And to understand, and I'm just at the beginning. So for me, I'm like, I feel like I've just cracked open a brand new book and I haven't even read the introduction yet. Just the message on the flap is all I'm at. And I'm like, oh, I want to understand. I want to learn how to look at things and see good in it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today in this episode of Unveiled. Thanks for being patient with me. So going forward, I don't know how often I'll be doing these yet. Once I figure out my flow, then I'll announce, how often this will be. Obviously, they will all be off the cuff for the moment until, again, I can find a flow, I have more help, and we have time to actually add music and intros and outros. Right now, all of that's gone. So it's just me, recording out on my patio, off the cuff, as Anam Cara Lara, which Anam Cara means soul friend. So I'm just going to be talking to you as your soul friend and sharing with you what God is teaching me. And I hope you find this beneficial. So all that's being said, that lesson about seeing something good, I've written a new article that's going to be in the new version of issue number 1. And if you want to get a copy of that, just go to payolalane.com. I'll try to I think I already, I'll definitely have that one link in the podcast description. And you can find it very easily once you just go to our website. All right. Hey, thanks for being here with me. Thanks for journeying in life with me. And I pray that every day would be an unveiling of God's goodness and his greatness. In Jesus' name, I speak this. Talk to you next time.